Okay, let's try this again. I'm so sorry about that, you guys. Scott and Lynn and Andrea, sorry about that, you guys. Okay, let's see if we can make this work. I just went live on YouTube and I did it on my computer and it works. I just went live on my computer and I kept getting a message from YouTube saying there wasn't enough video connection to go live, that you guys were going to be experiencing buffering. So we'll wait and see what happens and see if you guys come back. I think you should be able to comment. I didn't bother doing a video title or anything else. Wow, I'm about over this, whatever this thing was, this shit that they sprayed in the air. I'm about over it. Okay, so I will do my best, but I don't make any promises to not be Tina Long-Winded Hammond here. Okay, we're going to talk about the blinking lights on the planet, what's going on with the planes, what the symbolism is that's going on in this planet that we're seeing that is in our face, and many, many, many other things. I should probably cover up my comments since they are not, since I haven't audited my comments. The comments have not been audited. Yes. So anyway, hello, welcome in and welcome back to my channel. My name is Tina. I'm a psychic, I'm an intuitive, I'm a tarot reader, I'm a dowser, I'm all kinds of things. And I want to come here tonight and talk about the things that we may know that are going on the planet, and maybe there's a couple things we don't know as well. I don't know if I should wait a minute to see if people show up, because I'm not sure if now there's also a problem with this as well. Oh, hi there, and welcome to the show. Commentary back and forth is not my usual MO on this channel, because I try to concentrate on the messages and visions that were delivered, and also bringing you some of the news above ground and other underground uninterrupted. Yes. Hello, hello, hello. Hi guys, welcome in, welcome back. And I don't go back and forth and talk to people. Let's talk about the planetary situation. We've got blinking lights. We've got weird fog. We've got people coming down with respiratory stuff. We had a Super Bowl that was very, very, very full of symbolism. If you've been watching me for a while, specifically the last 2 months, I've been telling you, don't look so much at what's happening in your physical reality or on the world stage as far as news. We have to look at things symbolically, because there are so many things that are being done as symbols, mainly because you and I can call each other and have a conversation about anything we want. People that are in charge of governmental departments, or people that are in charge of taking down the corruption on the planet, don't have that luxury to go to a soundproof room and a Wi-Fi proof cell to be able to experience clear communication whenever they want. So a lot of what we're seeing in the news and in world events is people within the White Hat Alliance talking back and forth to each other and themselves about what part of the plan are we in right now, what is happening right now. So, yes, hello. And what I'm talking about is what I'm talking about. What I just said was the things that are going on planetarily, blinking lights, planes having issues, all kinds of stuff. And I know that when I go live on my phone, I get trolls and I get bots. So the comments are completely covered up. Anyone who's been following me for a while knows that I don't interact past the first 2 minutes anyway. So let's get into this. Let me start with the very beginning. I was on page 2 because I'd already been on the live for 20 minutes when I got cut off by Facebook. The energy on the planet is at an all-time high. If I could count the number of times I've said that, but this time it is to the point where things are starting to malfunction, okay? So there you go. The plan that has been in the works for a really, really long time is the perfect plan. No matter what happens, no matter what you're seeing, no matter what you're reading, no matter what you're experiencing from the television or anything else, this plan to illuminate the world's situation and get rid of the systemic virus that has been in control of this planet for a very long time is very, very, very much underway. And no matter what you're seeing or hearing, the plan is perfect no matter what happens. Remember, I keep using the phrase controlled demolition. And when you have controlled demolition, that means some things may come through to you from many different ways or many different channels. And that doesn't necessarily mean that those things are part of the plan, because disinformation is also part of the plan. So I made a video on this channel using tarot cards, which I normally don't do on this channel, to ask questions about FEMA. The reason why is because a little birdie told me that the FEMA camps had been raided, shut down, and their assets had been frozen, which is tied to a 2017 executive order saying if you are tied to electronically or in a paperwork way any crime against humanity, whether you're in this country or not, you can have your assets immediately seized. So if you're interested in that tarot video I did it because 10 days ago when I got that information, there's going to be no physical way to verify whether it's true or not. But I did make a video on this channel about FEMA. And I did that about 10 days ago. And the point of that video was I wanted to know if the FEMA camps had been raided, shut down, and FEMA's assets had been frozen. So that video is up and it's titled FEMA Camps a couple videos back if you're interested to watch that. However, what I do want you to know is that 2 days ago, Forbes interviewed Secretary of Homeland Security Kristi Noem on getting rid of FEMA. If I was tech savvy, and we all know that I'm not, this would be linked in the description box below, but it's not because I'm not, and I'm sorry. We are in the middle of an information war. Now, being in the middle of an information war means that we have data dumps coming from every direction all at one time. Some of those data dumps will be true. Some of them will be half truth, and some of them will be complete fabrication. In most instances, it's going to be really difficult for you and I to know which are true, which are half true, and which are completely fabricated because of the level and severity of the game and the place we are in that game right now. So data dumps from every direction. If you're watching, whether on purpose or by accident, because maybe you're in the dental office or at your grandparents' house, but if you are exposed to watching mainstream media, whether by accident or on purpose, I just want you to know one thing. I want you to keep this in mind, that usually, almost always, the first 2 or 3 sentences in that article, in that publication, or in that blog, or on that news media channel, the first 2 or 3 sentences will be the truth, and it quickly takes a turn after that. Now I'm referring to mainstream media. Super Bowl was the perfect example of this. I came across information that stated that Elon Musk had paid $40,000 to run 5 30-second ads during the Super Bowl. The purpose of paying $40 million to run ads during the Super Bowl was to let the biggest watched show on earth expose the facts and the things that Doge had found in their audits. So $40 million for 5 30-second videos exposing what the Doge audit had found. Those commercials were supposed to air during the Super Bowl. Okay, so you and I, like everybody else, have to use our discernment. Now, was there any truth to that? I can't say. I can neither confirm nor deny it. However, I felt that it could be true. So therefore, I made a video about 3 or 4 hours before the Super Bowl talking about many things, but that was one of them, about Elon Musk running these ads. Where we can get into struggle with ourselves and with others is thinking that any and all parts of this military operation are going to be in black and white for everyone to see. I keep using over and over again the phrase controlled demolition. When you hear something is going to happen and that thing doesn't happen, and this is why I keep talking to you guys about neutrality, not getting bent out of shape, etc., right? Like, I didn't get bent out of shape about the Super Bowl in either direction. But when you hear or read or see or watch that something's going to happen and that thing doesn't happen, that is also part of the plan. That is also controlled demolition. In many instances, they're pressuring one person or pressuring one department of the government, or they're pressuring one news outlet or multiple news outlets in a way that causes them to do something else, and it's a trap to catch them. Okay, so when you hear something's going to happen and it doesn't, that is also controlled demolition. And when you hear something and it doesn't happen, that is also part of the plan. But here's what I do want to share with you very briefly. Let's talk about the Super Bowl for a minute. People have known, and I got a lot of shit from people about watching the Super Bowl, which I thought was crazy. My family has historically watched it for the commercials and for the halftime show as well, because we're all so incredibly into music. But people, many hundreds of thousands of people have known the Super Bowl to be an occult shit show. Okay? And we've known about this for a really long time. But if we believe that we ourselves internally are changing ourselves and our lives, therefore it produces an external result in reality, then how, in our knowing of that, could we not think that the Super Bowl might not be any different this year? Now, after I heard that there was going to be Elon Musk commercials in the Super Bowl exposing the Doge audits and what they found, I then made a plan to go watch the Super Bowl because I don't even have a television. So let me start with telling you that I did not show up at the Super Bowl party with a pen and paper. These are some observations I made in real time, and then I wrote them down a couple days later, basically today. Okay. So here's what I noticed, and why I'm drawing your attention to it is for a multitude of reasons, but the biggest being, as I've been telling you for the last couple months, don't take everything literally. Really take the time to look at things symbolically, and that goes all the way back to drones over Jersey, DOJ, Department of Justice, okay, which I talked about in the last video. So let's look at just a small portion of the symbolism from the Super Bowl. First of all, after what I told you about Elon Musk paying $40,000 for 5 30-second ads, the Super Bowl did something in my 54 years on this planet that I've never seen them do. They put up a big, like, kind of screenshot of basically like a chart that told you how much a Super Bowl ad cost. And in fact, the ads were $8 million a piece, so 5 ads would be $40 million. Okay, But have you ever seen them give Super Bowl advertisement prices? I mean, they just left it on screen for like a minute. That was the first thing that I thought was very unusual. I have never seen that. So I looked back today and spent an hour searching for that screenshot that broke it down and how much ad revenue costs for a Super Bowl ad, and I couldn't find it anywhere. Okay, so that's the first thing I want to let you know. The dancers and everyone on stage was dressed in red, white, and blue attire, symbolizing your freedom. The dancing on the stage gave way to military marching and chasing. Okay, if you watched it, the entire halftime show, the dancing kept giving way to them militarily marching and chasing each other on stage. What does that mean? That means the military chase has begun. Now, this has been going on for a long time, but in physical reality, them physically going after them is what's happening now. Now, then Uncle Sam shows up, right? So Uncle Sam is a symbol for the United States government, but in the last decade, Uncle Sam has specifically been a reference to the IRS or you paying taxes. Okay, so Uncle Sam shows up representing again your taxes, the government, and says, "Salutations, I'm your Uncle Sam, and this is the great American game." Now, Uncle Sam is telling you this is the great American game. So what is Uncle Sam telling you? Uncle Sam is telling you paying taxes, doing what you're told, keeping yourself in check and keeping yourself in line is the game. That's what he's telling you. Now, when it started, Kendrick Lamar started, and I'd heard his name but never heard any of his music, but Kendrick Lamar started by squatting. And if you think about squatting in the woods, what you would be doing. Okay. So Kendrick Lamar started by squatting on the top of a car. Okay. So the car represents the machine, right? So what is he saying? He's saying, take a poo on the machine that runs the game, essentially. Okay. He's also telling you that we are now on top of the machine. And it went back and forth with Uncle Sam, who kept saying things like, and I'm paraphrasing, "Don't do anything out of line now, Kendrick. Don't do anything ghetto." In other words, don't revolt against the system. Don't revolt against the game. And that wasn't just a message to Kendrick. That was a message, right, to everyone. Okay, so I think there's something I missed here. Let me see. Okay, so the other thing is, and this was the most bizarre of all bizarre things. You know, with the Super Bowl Dolby surround sound, that's the highest value production you're going to get for the dollar, unless you're like at a Dave Matthews concert or Taylor Swift or some huge person that's filling an arena. They're going to have a mind-blowing sound system. However, second to those things would be the sound coming from the Super Bowl, right? Dolby surround sound. My dad and my entire family is so into music. He has I think it's 4 separate speakers set up, one that was right behind the couch where we were sitting. So my dad has some kind of Bose set up with also with that amazing surround sound. So I knew if these ads from Elon Musk were true and they were going to happen, that they would happen either right before the halftime show or right after, because many people tune in just for the halftime show. However, at that spot that I knew his ads would run, if the information was true, we had local advertisers. And the thing that was mind-blowing about the local advertisement, one, the whole thing was obvious. So first of all, the sound of the Super Bowl is absolutely as high tech as you're going to get, okay, for everybody. And at my dad's, he had the most amazing sound system I've ever heard. Yet around the halftime, local advertisements started popping up. And one thing that was really super weird about this was one of the advertisements that popped up was a food truck. And I actually knew who this couple was because my neighbor had actually worked for them. And they are such a small company that it's a husband and wife food truck that sometimes will hire extra help, like one or two people, if they have a huge event, like outside a stadium or just something really big, right? So we switch over around the time of the halftime show, we switch over to local ads, and we were all so confused. I actually looked at my dad and said, did you like sit on the remote or accidentally um, did you change the channel? Because the other thing that happened is you went from the most high quality television sound you're going to get to what a local advertisement would sound like that was low budget without great sound. So that was another tip off. Now, there is no way in this world that the people that owned that food truck, like I said, I know them, would have paid $8 million, nor could they have paid $8 million for Super Bowl ad time. Also, there was a local church and some kind of local sports organization. So not only would those people not pay for that, they couldn't pay for that, and the sound was so different from the other commercials, right? And then when we skipped over to those local ads, the sound quality just cut like in half. Okay, so where are we here? There are just so many weird things that happen. But here's what I want to ask you to take into consideration. Now, am I saying I'm right? Absolutely not. Any of the things actually that I tried to look up around the Super Bowl that I saw, I couldn't even find those things again. Okay, so yeah, there was a major difference in the sound. There was local, then there was 4 advertisements. Now, there was at the beginning of the Super Bowl one ad, telecommunications ad from Elon Musk. And then we had 4 local commercials, which I'm guessing took place or took precedence over his commercials. Now, I could be wrong, but I wouldn't imagine that when Doritos sent their commercial into the Super Bowl that somebody actually sat down and watched it to make sure that they weren't over the line or crossing any boundaries, but I don't know. That's not something I'm aware of. So the next thing that happened towards the end, and we actually left before this, but somebody sent me the pictures, is spelled out in the stadium got dark, and spelled out was warning, wrong way. Was that prepared in case they didn't add Elon Musk's advertisement? Is there any chance that they just decided to omit that, play those local commercials, and when they did, I'm telling you there's a plan that has 8 backup plans for everything. So I'm asking you to just think about it. Warning, wrong way. Was that pre-planned just in case they did not air the ad space that Elon Musk had already paid for? And then next, as the lights were out as well, it said in all capital letters, game over. Now, that they were going to do no matter what, I'm sure of it, but they are telling you the game is over. Now, what game am I talking about? Go back to what I said about Uncle Sam. The game is you pay your taxes, you stay in line, and you do what you're told to do. That's the game. Game over. Okay? So the entire game, also, particularly you paying taxes, is what they're saying game over to. Okay? Now, if you've been watching me for the past 2 months, I'll ask you another question. Was this, in fact, the FCC violation that I've been talking about here on this channel? I'm sure that the media stations are, violating in 100 ways till Sunday. They've been doing it for a really long time. But I told you in the last couple of videos that the FCC will dismantle, take down many of the broadcast stations. Okay. So if someone paid $40 million for an ad, 5 ads, whether it's me, Elon Musk, or you, I don't care. Could that be the thing that gets these channels in violation with the FCC? So think about that one. Did he pay $40 million? Did Elon Musk pay $40 million for ads that were simply never aired? Is that why they said warning wrong way that was lit up in the crowd? Here's the thing, and here's why we don't get emotionally invested in whether something is going to happen or not. We will not know the answer until the FCC shuts down sections or channels on the media. Okay? So, back to this over here. Let's talk about the fog for a minute. I've seen people all over the world talking about this fog, and also talking about sickness in relation to this fog as well. And what everyone's talking about is respiratory issues. Okay, so according to someone whose video I watched today, and I'd never heard of her before, she was talking about that in Fort Myer, they were testing particulates in the fog, and they found aluminum, barium, and high levels of a bacteria that I couldn't even begin to pronounce. We had no fog in Ohio here, but the skies were absolutely inundated with chemtrails at the same time point that she's referencing. It was about 4.5, 5 weeks ago. And I had told you in a video that I was out walking. I saw chemtrails everywhere. I probably walked 7 or 8 miles. Within a couple of hours, I came home and I laid down and I went to sleep, and I was asleep for 2 days. Now, I didn't feel sick. I just felt tired. I laid down and I slept for 2 days. The only reason I even knew that I was asleep for 2 solid days, and when I say asleep, I mean no food, no water, no bathroom, no nothing, sleep for 2 days straight. And I knew it'd been 2 days because I had visited a friend on Thursday, and I had told her about how bad the chemtrails were when I was out walking right before I came to her house. And then on Saturday, my neighbor texted me to see if I was okay, because she said she hadn't seen me in 2 days. And then I looked at my phone and I was like, oh my God, I've been asleep for 2 days. So this morning I found a video. I wasn't even looking for it. It was on my friend's Facebook page. And it was about a lady and her dog. And this lady and her dog walk for over an hour every day. She's somewhere in the Fort Myer, Florida area. She said she got sick a couple of hours after coming in from the walk. She thought maybe she had caught something, but her dog didn't eat or move for 2 days, just like me. And the dog just laid in the same spot, wouldn't drink and wouldn't eat. Exactly the same thing I went through, and she went through it as well. Now, I cannot stay inside and not go outside forever because of their antics and their shenanigans. Neither can you. It's imperative that we're out in nature and moving our body. So how can we combat this respiratory crap that they are spraying? Now, I will tell you, and I don't get sick anymore, but when I did, if I ever got a cold or a sinus infection, I would do lemon and ginger for about 2 days. It would be completely gone in 2 days. This is different. I laid down and slept for 2 days without eating, without drinking, and without using the bathroom. When I got up on day 2, day 3, and day 4, all I did was lemon water, ginger tea that I made myself, and broth for 3 days. Lemon, ginger, and broth was all I did. And still it was hard to get rid of. My neighbor texted me again and said, the way you're coughing, it sounds like you have pneumonia. And I was like, I'm not even coughing. I don't know what you're talking about. Well, then later we found out, because I wasn't here for 2 days, that it was the neighbor below her. So now the neighbor below me, and everybody in the building basically had it. The neighbor below me has had it for the last 2 weeks as well. So 2 lemons a day, ginger tea, lemon tea bags are better than nothing, but you need real lemon. And the best way to deal with ginger is to slice it and boil it and drain it off, or grate it, boil it, cook it, and drain it off. Lemon is the lemon directly activates and is a part of the entire triangle of your head right here. Okay. So your nose, your sinuses, all of that stuff. So that'll take care of that. Now, ginger works above in some capacities too, but ginger pretty much does everything from here down. So the throat, the lungs, a lot of problems with some of the things that they're spraying is they go into the lungs immediately. So it used to be if you got sick 10 years ago, you might have a cold really bad for a week. And if you didn't take care of yourself and you worked too much, you would have it for many weeks, and then it would go into something serious. This went into something serious as soon as I woke up. Okay. So other than a slight headache, I really wasn't sick. I just tossed and turned and slept for 2 days straight in continual state of sweating. Now, you do what you want to do. I'm not a doctor. However, when your body is burning something off, which is what a fever is, it's not advised to lower your body's temperature or take something to stop the fever. And the reason for that is because when you do that, you stop the body's healing process. When something foreign is in your body, anything foreign that makes you feel sick, your body, the first thing it does is raise the temperature so that you can burn this off. So there's all kinds of things that go into this. Yes, I know temperatures can get dangerously high or whatever. However, you're going to have to use your own, intuition and discernment on that. It is best not to take something to lower the body's temperature or to take something to stop the fever, because the fever is your body's way of burning that up, right? If you left tea on the stove for too long on high heat, it's going to be burnt up and there's nothing left. That is what the fever is doing to your body, okay? They've had the technology of geoengineering and spraying chemtrails for forever. The first time knowingly that they used it was in the war, and it made it impossible for people to climb the hills because I believe it was the Vietnam War, the first time they used it. It was very hilly terrain, and they flooded it out with rain so that soldiers would be sliding down hills, and it would make it very difficult for them to fight. So they've had this technology for a millennia, really, and they used to not pull it out unless it was times of war or something they felt was super important. Now, I noticed and I believe it was 2004 is the first time I noticed that them spraying chemtrails. Now, not saying that they never did it before that, but in 2004, they started spraying chemtrails so heavily, I don't know how anybody could miss it that looked up at the sky. They have really upped their game, and apparently the chemtrail geoengineering projects are paid for through to 2027. Hopefully this is next on the list. I'm telling you, if you eat clean food and if you don't take medicine unless it's absolutely necessary, if you're not getting vaccinated and not eating the medicine and you're taking care of yourself and you're working out, you're not going to get sick, period. So right now they found a way. They've decided to just spray it in the air. They're spraying bacteria with heavy metals. Okay, so ginger tea and lemon to detox from that. Now let's talk about the planes and flickering lights. The planes are not the things that are actually having issues, like physical issues with the plane. The problem with the planes making all these emergency landings in school parking lots and malls and on highways is because of the instruments. They're not failing, but they're not working correctly because the geomagnetic the geomagnetic field is so amplified by what is coming through our sun right now that they are have to making emergency landings. Imagine if you're in a plane, if you're the pilot, and looking at your instruments, it says, okay, it's time to start descending down to the runway. And then all of a sudden, that runway becomes in sight, and you realize, oh shit, that's a mall parking lot. Now, there have been a lot of safe landings, but I believe the majority of this I believe that all of these landings in school parking lots or on the highway or in malls are because even though the pilot is cognizant and doing a great job and there's nothing physically wrong with the airplane, they are not able to read the instruments with accuracy because the electromagnetic field is so pumped up. Okay, now let's talk about these flickering, blinking lights that are happening on all over the planet right now. For me, it's happening in my apartment, and as we know, I just tried to use my computer, and I wasn't even able to make a video. So, electronic things are having a problem making a stable connection without being disrupted, and that's because of the electricity and our electromagnetic field also. I've been talking about this for probably 3 years, but the sun sends off a storm or a CME or something, and it doesn't trickle down and filter into the earth. It goes directly from the sun to the core of Earth and then radiates back up and out directly into the ley lines and the electric power grids. So these power grids are vibrating much higher, much faster, and much harder than they have been in previous storms or previous solar cycles. And what's happening right now is these geomagnetic storms are taxing the planet's electric current, they're taxing the grids, they're taxing the electric field, they're taxing every single thing that runs on electricity. So that's why we have blinking lights and blinking signs and all this electronic blinking, shorting, right? That's what's going on. So sun to the core of Earth, it radiates back out and disturbs the electric field. It has always worked this way. It just hasn't happened with this strength in the past. That's why we're seeing all these blinking electrical things, specifically lights. I think other things are doing it, but lights to everyone is going to be a lot more noticeable than the toaster or the microwave or the computer, because you may not be using that thing all day long. But if you're going to a mall or a football game or a business or something, the lights are going to be on all the time, a lot of the times, even when they're closed. So that's going to be more noticeable. Not only is this geomagnetic storming and this electromagnetic current affecting the electricity on this planet and the grids, it's also giving us personal power surges and personal magnetic surges within the body, which may mean 1 minute you feel excited and ready to run a marathon or clean your house top to bottom or do whatever it is you need to do. And the next second, the only thing you can think about is curling up with a blanket. This sun to core Earth CMEs, solar storms, and all that's happening is so strong. It's literally disturbing the ley lines, which are the organic grids of Earth, and the man-made power line grids of Earth as well. It is also giving your personal body a power surge of electromagnetic energy as well. which can do all kinds of things, make you excited, make you want to take on things otherwise you wouldn't do or take on. You may feel pumped with energy or pumped with electricity or pumped with circuitry. And then 20 minutes later, maybe after you've pulled everything in your living room apart to rearrange it, you've decided, oh my God, I'm exhausted. And the only thing I can think about is curling up in bed with my blanket. Okay. So our body runs. I did a whole video. I think it was 2 videos ago, and it'd be helpful if I could title these videos what they should be titled, but it's a problem with the YouTube and suppression. But our body works as a negative charge up here and a positive charge below our feet. And we essentially, our human body is nothing more than a battery. So you have to think about these electromagnetic and electric surges that are coming not only from the ley lines or the organic planetary grid, but also man-made electronics, EMF, Wi-Fi, cell towers, everything else. It's a system overload. So rest when you need to rest. Since your personal power center, your body is also surging electrically and surging electromagnetically, that means also you may start to hear and see things way more amped up than you normally do. Now, a lot of people that I talk to say, I don't get messages from beings or ancestors or higher self. They do, they're actually not paying attention, because if they get a word at a time or a sentence at a time, they blow it off. It's important it's important if expanded consciousness is your goal. It's very important that you write down what these messages are, even if they seem insignificant at the time. I'll give you an example. I was looking back through my notes tonight for something and saw that I wrote down on December 18th that there was going to be an electronic hack-in and that there were going to be empty seats in the house. Now, I thought this was referring to my house, and the hacking was something symbolic, and it was. But also, let's look at the government and how they've hacked in, how they're auditing, and how they're emptying out seats in the FBI and the DOJ and the Senate, in the House, and everything across the board in the government. That's why I'm telling you, all these little things that may seem insignificant are not. And I know when I started making videos and telling you, giving you messages and space weather and whatever, I had no idea when those things were going to happen. Some of those things I've been talking about 4 years ago or 2 years ago are just now happening. However, the message that came through about being hacked into the system and having seats open or empty seats in the house was just December 18th. So that was a little over 4 weeks after. Okay. So it's important for you to look at these little messages. And when I started doing this, I would just carry a pen and paper in my pocket, even at work. I've been doing this since 2014, carrying around a pen and paper. Now, I had a really good friend. We discussed many, many messages and visions and things that I had. And he would always say, this is just a personal message for you. And the argument was, is it a personal message or is it a global message? And what came through to me when I asked was that there's no difference between a personal message and a global message. It just simply means that you're probably going to have to transcribe it or decode it. So my video, Drones Over Justice, and the Tribe of 12 that's on here from middle of December, talks all about this in this process if you're interested in that. When you receive a personal message, it's also global. So when I received the information in December that was 40 pages long, it was all personal. I had to then go back and decode it and look at it on the world stage. So if you're getting a global message, that is a personal message with personal ramifications. When you're getting a personal message, it's a personal message, but a global message with global ramifications. The messages you receive will be both personal and global, because you are not separate from these global events. You're not separate from these global happenings. Now, even if you're not reading or listening to or watching external information, you, as a battery, as an electromagnetic being in a body, are not separate from anything that's going on globally. Okay. Oh, I'm going to make it in under an hour and a half tonight. I'm so excited for myself. Look at all these things. And I know we have a hard time because what I am seeing on social media is two very distinct and different categories. We have the spiritual community, or the energetic community, talking about energetic happenings that wants nothing to do with the news that made the news in any capacity from me or anyone else. And then we have people that are solely talking about global shifts, and they're not interested in anything energetic. Everybody wants it to be separated, right? Everybody wants someone to make them a pie and cut it in pieces and put it on a plate and deliver it to them and break it down and keep it all separate. Your body as a battery is not separate. Your personal messages are global. The messages that you receive are global, that are global are also personal. If you're getting a global message, you'll have to translate and decode what that means for you on a personal level, symbolically, and vice versa. We came here to break the system, right? That's what the whole halftime show was about. Uncle Sam, you're free from taxes, right? You're free from the IRS. It's game over. The IRS is gone. Now, I've told you so many times, but I'm going to say it one more time for the people in the back. When FEMA gets shut down in physical reality, or like on the books, so to speak, that's because it already happened. These are all military operations, and these are all controlled demolition. So when you hear that FEMA's technically, legally shut down and their assets are seized, it's because it already happened, right? Everything that you're seeing and hearing, the information is only being given directly to you, to us, to we the people, after the military action has already happened, been successful, and transpired. We are the breakers of the system. Energetically, we are busting systems with our light, with our body's ability to hold, carry, and dispense light everywhere we go. We are breakers of the system energetically. We are busting the system, all of it that I've talked about in every video for the last 2 months. We are busting that system in a 3D physical capacity. We work to dismantle the system. I've talked a lot about how it's a fine line between judgment and observation. I've talked a lot about not judging someone from where they are. Just because you've learned something and you're past it doesn't mean that there's a wave next to you that doesn't have that information yet. Okay. So for the last, since the 50s or 60s, we've had 3 waves of consciousness or expanding consciousness on the planet. I think I told you in the last video or so, I've made more videos this week than I've ever made in 1 week, but I did tell you that we now have 5 waves of expanding consciousness. So don't chastise or judge, be judgmental about someone else's job and say, well, we're done doing that. If you're in the first wave of expanding super consciousness, you are done doing that, posting that, sharing that certain thing. But there are a whole lot of people that don't have that information. And we're working together as a team to dismantle what is not peace, love, and harmony on the planet for all. We are breaking the system energetically, and we all work in different departments to dismantle the system, right? So that's another part of observing as opposed to judging, and observing, the fine line between observing and be making a judgment, right? Because one person may work in this in shattering the system of the governance. Someone else may shatter the system of media. Someone else may shatter the food and medicine system. There are people that are here to shatter indoctrinated religion. Rennie, who usually is live, but I don't see her tonight, is one person that came here to energetically shatter the system of indoctrinated religion. Some people are here to shatter indoctrinated education. Now, some of you are working in multiple things. So a lot of people are like, why don't you just pay attention and only talk about energetics and ascension? It's not separate. And I don't necessarily work in the same category that you work in. Also, I work in multiple categories, right? I'm here to shatter the governance. I am also part of shattering the media. I'm also, sometimes you guys know I talk about food and medicine. And I'm not involved on the religious end or the education end, except for that I have told you on multiple occasions that I was very confused about why I would be getting messages or visions with science, math, or quantum physics, and was told it's because I don't have the indoctrinated education. And when that thing came true, I would trust it, right? I would use my discernment. I would write it down and I would talk about it with you, right? So we are all energetically busting the system in different departments, and many of you are working in multiple departments, and we are all working on different frequency waves of consciousness. When we know something, when we've shared it to the point that we and our group that we work in of expanded superconsciousness has got it, we move on to something different. Okay, we're not all working in governance or media or food and medicine or religion or education, but many of you are working in multiple things. Now, when we're looking at things externally and saying, oh, here's the white hats, or here's the Galactic Federation or the Galactic Confederation, or whatever you believe, it doesn't really matter. There is a heavy military presence on this planet, both in our government and within you. Now, I have done probably 200 personal, intuitive, and tarot readings, probably for, I would say, 75 or 80% of the people who now watch this channel. And what I want to let you know is, in your breaking of the system, in your shattering of this physical reality, dismantling it and changing these different systems, that I have personally seen your connection to that white hats or alliance, or whatever name you want to give to it, however you want to look at it. Through the over 200 tarot and intuitive readings I've done for you guys, I have directly seen your connection to this alliance. Now, what that means is, I've had people ask me questions about dreams they've had, or there have been things that have come up in your individual tarot readings that have shown me directly. So even in the capacity of looking at the alliance, or whatever name you want to give to these people that are helping helping and cooperating militarily, and all other sections, even outside the military, we are all energetically working with those other beings, those other groups, the white hats as well. I have seen this over 100 times when working with you to deliver tarot readings to you. The last thing I want to say to you is, about 6 miles into my walk, I got a message, which this leads to me to believe that Kennedy will be confirmed. I don't believe that he has, but I'm not really keeping up with. I know it sounds like I'm looking at the news, but I'm actually only looking at the things that people here and there send me. So about 6 miles into my walk, I heard Kennedy is going to go full throttle on the food supply and also on the medical established, to bring great and monumental change that this planet needs. I normally don't talk about politics. However, we cannot separate. If you know we are becoming multidimensional, that means we exist in multidimensional realities. And as long as we're living and breathing and working out and inhabiting a physical body on a physical planet, we are connected to media, to social media, to governance, to education, to food, to religion. We're connected in every way. And even if you are not looking or reading what's going on in politics or governance or religion, you are still energetically picking it up. Anyone, I'm so happy to make a video under an hour. Anyone that wants to expand their consciousness into super consciousness needs to start writing down the silly little things, messages that they receive that they think mean absolutely nothing. Because I learned over a decade ago that these messages mean a lot. And also I learned just by keeping track of the things I've written down, the articles I've written, and the videos that I've made, that I'm no longer seeing things that are 3 years out. I'm seeing things somewhere between a 2 and 30 day span. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for your love. Thank you for your support of this channel. Wow, 5555, universal and personal change on an unparalleled level. That's what time, that's what the time on the timer when I said this. Lastly, and so importantly for everyone, at some point in every family lineage, there is a soul in that family lineage that decides, I'm not going to take it. We're not going to take it. We're not going to follow along with what the establishment ditches out. In some point in every family lineage, there's a soul that decides not to take it. There's a soul that decides not to conform. There's a soul that decides in every family lineage to create radical change. And you, my friend, are that soul. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you for subscribing to this channel. And thank you for being the conduit of light that is spreading information, joy, peace, and happiness. And the last thing I'll say is when you see someone on social media or in your family or in the grocery store or walking down the street that looks really angry and really been out of shape, maybe they're just mean or unfriendly, or you've said hi to them and they won't say hi back. The only way that I have found that effectively deals with this is to close my eyes and tell that person, it's okay. Everything is going to be okay. Thank you for being here. And until next time, much love. Bye.